Hello, and welcome to the very sick, very tired, very recording this the day before it goes live episode of the original remake podcast. My name is Pat, and with me is Amy,
Hello.
Andrea,
Hi.
and Nick.
Oh, hi.
And today we're going to be reviewing Nick's pick. The what year is this movie from, Nick?
It doesn't matter. It's terrible.
1997.
The terrible. Oh, that's worse. The closer to the Matrix it gets, the worse of a movie it is. The 1997 film Masterminds.
So great it never made it to DVD or Blu-ray.
Oh God.
Really?
It really.
I did not know that.
And it grossed domestically $1 million.
This was actually in the theater?
It was only in theaters.
Oh my God.
And 1.9 million worldwide.
Whoa.
Oh, it doubled
So
itself.
the way that we saw this
Not
movie,
quite.
and the way that you guys, people listening, if you have some sort, if you're crazy enough, the way that you'll have to watch it is with this app called Tubi. I don't even know.
Probably the greatest app.
Yeah.
It does have a lot of terrible 90s films on it.
Which I've been watching.
So
God.
here's a little TV
See,
history.
that is
101
not
for you.
called foreshadowing. That's called a terrible premonition.
Here's a little TV history 101. Streaming services lose money these days, and so what they've done is each one of the streaming services has their own free version of one of their apps. Tubi or Freevee is the Amazon Prime one.
Really?
Pluto is another one that HBO. And what they'll do is they'll remove content from their paid platform and then move it over to the free platform, which is supported by ads. And so the more people watch through there, they make additional money, right? Because they're not raising the price of their
Streaming platform.
their streaming platform, but they are reducing the content and moving it over to other places where they can generate revenue.
So
Yeah, you're gonna see a lot less stuff on streaming, or a lot less stuff on the streaming you pay for, and a lot more stuff on quote unquote free streaming supported by ads.
who owns Tubi?
I don't know who specifically owns Tubi, but whoever it is, they're doing terrible with their their film picks.
It's to be determined.
Oh my God. I'm not healthy enough for your crap.
Tubi is owned by Fox, which makes sense why there's some crappy 90s stuff on there.
Okay. Well, Pluto isn't necessarily like it's streaming, but it's like if you want to watch Star Trek 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, over and over, you tune into Pluto. If you want to watch Stargate SG-1 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's what you watch Pluto for. Like, it's individual channels for
Yes,
whatever show that you really liked.
but to go back to my example, you could buy that stuff. Could be on Paramount Plus, which is a streaming service that Paramount runs, but Paramount also owns Pluto TV, so they can put it on there and get the ad. Yep. So every free app is owned by someone, and that's where they go. That's where they go to. So, anyways, to get back to the film, no one wanted Masterminds except Tubi. It's got a 19% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I didn't think was possible.
But it's possible, and it certainly deserved it.
Oh shoot. Yeah.
Listen,
and Nick, this is your second pick in a row that's like straight out of the 90s.
No,
Yeah,
hold on.
but Hackers was way better than this.
Hang on.
I mean,
I do believe it was actually in the last podcast. Someone roll back the transcript, because I was like, yo, I remember this movie. It was god awful. But maybe we're kind of getting away from how we should do original remake podcasts and not just picking truly awful movies and picking movies with potential that could be tweaked and fixed. And no less than 2 members of this podcast said, no, you got to do it. It'll be great. And here we are. Regretting decisions.
I regret
Well,
my decision
I
to have
mean-
you make us watch this movie.
I do regret my decision, but on the other hand, we all are tired and sick. So like maybe this was actually a good thing.
The first time we watched it, Amy, you fell asleep about 10 minutes in
Yes.
again. But 10 minutes is like
Yes.
really early even for her. And at one point towards the end of the film, I had stopped paying attention. I was watching the screen, but I missed how they got the girl, the daughter back, or the little sister back. So that I missed a really important plot point because the movie was so boring.
It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Like it doesn't matter that they got her back or
Listen.
how. They just did. You just have to accept that because it doesn't matter.
If you liked Die Hard,
Don't compare
if
those
you-
films
if you liked the original Die Hard,
or Home Alone.
yeah, I'm thinking more Die Hard because there's almost a 1-for-1
There
comparison.
Really is.
Like
Yeah.
kid
Yeah,
in the
he's literally-
ductwork with a lighter,
you're
like
right.
literally the same movie.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. Instead of
Kid version.
Nakatomi Tower, we have a random prep school. Like
it's basically Die Hard for kids. There was so much potential, but it was just
yeah, there was so much
God-awful poor
potential,
execution.
And they did it in the 80s, and it was called Die Hard. That's the potential.
I do like that in 1997 we were still so naive that armed people show up at a school and start firing weapons and like 2 cop cars show up. I was like, oh, sweet summer child.
That kind of thing would never fly now.
No.
Nope. They're like, oh, an army showed up at the school. All right, let me call the local sheriff down.
I
See
feel
what he
like
can
that-
do.
I feel like that this movie though was like the primordial soup in which many actors that are good now came from.
One
Or-
specifically,
or
the
one
kid, right?
Yeah, the kid.
Well, the kid, oh god, the dad, he's a character actor who was in like 3 or 4 movies in the 90s. Bradley Whitford, who was like listed as Brad Whitford, he's in The Handmaid's Tale and was Josh what's his face in The West Wing. I don't remember his last name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gosh, who else was in this movie? I mean, other than Patrick Stewart.
Other than Sir Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, he is like the one saving grace.
His performance in this was fantastic.
He
It
was
was the
great.
one thing that made
He
the
was-
movie a credible
It
thing to watch.
they almost made his salary back, I'm sure.
I'm
But no, seriously, he was fantastic in this, and he has an excellent quote. But I think we're actually getting ahead of ourselves in the traditions of the remake podcast, in that we didn't really summarize this movie.
Yeah, you did. You said it was Die Hard for kids. There you go.
Okay, I mean, yeah, pretty much. You get this rebel kid who's been kicked out of this school, that has to drop his step sibling off, or soon to be step sibling or whatever. It doesn't matter, not important. Off at this prep school, and Patrick Stewart's the bad guy. He does a great job at it, and takes over the school to hold a bunch of these really rich kids hostage for ransom money. And the kid that got kicked out, Ozzy, hacks the mainframe and sets off the sprinklers and goes all Die Hard meets Home Alone, which, thank you for that. That's a great reference.
They should put that on
He
the
was
poster.
PG.
Maybe they could re-release the movie.
I feel like the IMDb storyline, like the description, makes it seem a lot cooler than it really is.
Almost as
yeah.
cool as it actually is.
Almost.
Yeah.
Like I just hate
Can
it.
I just say as well, two random facts that I don't know when I'm going to get to put in. So the synopsis is as good as any time. First, the principal of the school plays the pigeon lady
in
in
Home
Home
Alone
Alone
too.
2.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the mother in So I Married an Ex-Murderer.
That's right. Yeah. That's a great movie. That's a great movie. But my initial reaction when I was watching the opening credits of the film, like the opening scene, the hacking scene, I literally said the words,
Oh my
God
God.
damn it, Nick. And then I was like, wait, is that? And it's a song by Stabbing Westward, which if you grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s,
Yep.
was a fantastic band when you were angry with your parents or anyone.
I remember it.
I do
Yeah.
not
The
remember this
soundtrack's
at
not
all.
bad in this movie, actually.
I
It's
don't
not.
remember that song or that band at all.
Such a 90s movie.
It's
I
like
was mad at my parents. I listened to Linkin Park.
Well, this is like
Link-
the 90s
Link-
alternative-ish
Yeah.
version of that.
The Linkin Park listened to Stabbing Westward and then liked rap, so they just combined those two things.
True story.
See, Pat, while you were like listening, watching it and being like, God damn it, Nick, I actually started a Big Trouble counter in my notes. The amount of times that he said or he was told, you're in big trouble, or I'm in big trouble. I think I made it to 2 before I stopped paying attention, which tells you how far I actually got as far as my attention span holding for this movie.
Fair.
Listen, this was a fantastic film. For its time. I tried.
It's literally it's a year before The Matrix comes out.
I
This
know.
film is horrible.
Just put it into perspective.
I tried. I actually tried to look up what the budget for this was, and I could not find it. I think Columbia really just is that who made this? Columbia?
I don't know. Columbia.
Yeah, Columbia TriStar.
The poster looks like something out of Monty Python's Flying Circus. Go back up to that. You cannot tell me that doesn't look like something out of Monty Python.
Yeah. I tried to look up what the budget for this was. I couldn't find it, but I did find what its domestic and international gross was, and it was sad that it only hit barely 2 million after worldwide distribution through movie theaters, and it did so poorly that they did not even give it a DVD release.
I mean, do you remember when DVDs were the thing? You have to be real bad to not get a DVD release.
Dude, there are movies that went straight to DVD.
This didn't even get that.
This didn't even get there.
Oof.
At one point, they were just taking movies made in the 30s. I'm like, we'll just put it on DVD, I guess.
Good Lord. You know some of the movies that came out in 1997? Wow.
None as good as
Titanic.
this one, I'm sure.
Face Off, Men in Black. Dude, Con
Men in
Air
Black.
came out in 1997? What?
Wow.
And, okay. Well,
And of course, this film listed among the greats that you just listed there.
oh,
Of
yeah.
course, of course.
This,
So, okay, let's we've kind of made fun of this a little bit, but let's talk about the plot of this film in a little more detail, aka what's actually happening. So obviously these people with guns take over the school. I gotta be honest, the only thing that captured my interest is the plot. Like at the end, the reveal of what the main thing actually is, I actually didn't expect. And I was actually kind of intrigued by, and again, we're gonna have to spoil the film here, but the fact that it was all a play to get the kid's dad out of the business meeting, right? And I was like, that's such a long con. Like the $1 million they're getting, they don't care about that. Like the whole plan was like an insider plan to like scupper a business deal that was taking place like halfway across the country. Such a bizarre plot twist, but I actually quite liked it. But like the actual plan to like take over a school of like little rich kids is pretty cool actually,
what?
because they're gonna pay. Those rich people are gonna pay.
And even in this movie, they didn't give you the whole we don't negotiate with terrorists or anything like that. They were like, well, screw it. Give me my duffel bag. I'll throw money in it. Like,
Yeah. They only don't negotiate when it's poor people being held hostage. It's the big trick.
I honestly think that if you're a Patrick Stewart fan and you like horrible 90s movies, that this is a fair watch.
No.
No, I agree with Nick. I think if you really, really love Patrick Stewart, like you want to see everything he's in, I think because he's only, so far as I know, there's only one other film where he's a villain, and that is Green Room, which was also fantastic. Maybe he just needs to
Also
play villains
fantastic.
more often.
Also
I know.
fantastic.
Or I mean, he was also fantastic in
No.
it.
No.
I can edit
no,
this
no.
out. I'm the editor. I can edit this part out.
No takes backsies.
No, but Patrick Stewart is by far and away the not only the best part of this movie, but quite frankly, probably the best part of this movie. My dog is just locked. I'm sorry, my dog just locked herself in our laundry.
Oh,
How'd she even open the
Don't even know
door?
how she got in. All of a sudden, I see the door close and she's stuck in there. I'm sorry. I don't even know if I should edit this out. Let me open the door for her. What you doing, sweetheart? You want to come out? Yeah. You idiot. All right.
Pause.
We're back.
Sorry,
We're
Molly.
back. Oh, poor River. What an idiot. I
Aw.
mean, she's as stupid as the criminals in this film.
I love there's just so much stuff I love about this movie. That's bad. We should.
The best quote of all time, not just from this movie, but from all time,
No.
is Patrick Stewart saying, "You know, I'm not a violent man, but I really do think I'm going to have to kill someone here."
Yeah.
I mean, that is kind of a funny one.
from Patrick Stewart with this really weird mustache hairpiece thing going on. Like it was great.
Yeah, he does have a bunch of pretty good quotes, and I love the fact that towards the end of the film, he's just like, I'm just gonna take off my professional suit and have my Manchester United jersey underneath
I
and
didn't
go.
understand that at all.
It's just it's basically he's a punter. He's a faker, right? He's not a professional. He's just really just a dude.
Oh, like a blue collar dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at this point they had flipped the script, if you will, on the B plot and kind of shown the whole subterfuge of the school being.
You know, we've been watching too much Stargate when subterfuge enters our dialect.
Crap. Yep. That's happened. That's been our go-to when trying to get better. We're just
Yeah, it was just like I've been feeling like crap, and the only thing I've wanted to watch for like the past week and a half has been Stargate Atlantis.
just binging it, zoning out watching the TV.
Yes.
Anywho, but yeah, like at that point they're kind of showing that, you know, he doesn't have to keep up the ruse.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be driving a dune buggy through
A rocket launcher laden dune buggy in a sewer tunnel.
through sewer tunnels of the school,
Connected to a
which-
school.
which they so
Amazing.
blow through walls to get through.
In the catacombs under the school.
And just to be
understand.
clear, underneath the school, underneath a school in like a school just in the middle of the countryside, right? This is not a city. They're just like
Yeah.
they're in the middle of nowhere, this school. Like maybe they come from the city to get there, but like the school is surrounded by fields. Why is there giant tunnels everywhere? It doesn't make any sense.
Why does the basement of this school butt up against giant city-sized storm drains
Yeah.
that you can drive dune buggies through?
Like if you're gonna give a setting that cool, at least do something with it.
Yeah, make it a downtown school of some kind. Like you could
Yeah.
change the location and make that work.
I have under changes to jump ahead a little bit, move the school to like a big city so that you're actually running into like the guts of like a New York City, which has like tons of underground infrastructure, right? How cool
Yeah.
would that be?
Yeah. And instead of going through like storm tunnels, you could do a subway scene chase and add the peril of the third rail and all that fun stuff.
Yeah,
But-
exactly. You can have a kid skateboarding on the side of a train, you know, all that fun stuff.
I think the biggest thing that this movie suffered from is they took the teeth out of it. None of the action scenes were believable. There were no consequences and nothing ultimately happened. There was
didn't
chase
want it- they
scenes
did-
with explosions, but nothing, like nobody got hurt. You got SWAT teams stepping on landmines and they just stand up and brush themselves off. Like nothing happened. There were no consequences. You could fast forward through every action scene and be fine.
My favorite part of the mine scene is the mines blow up and then they don't go any further. The mines are gone now. You can keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a one-time deterrent.
Well, you don't know. There might be more buttons that magically make the ground detonate.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But yeah, even when, SWAT team is coming down, they literally wait for the cop to leave the truck before they bazooka it. Like kidnapping kids is fine, but we don't kill cops here, okay? Like, what kind of terrorist are you?
They did, Patrick Stewart's character did say that, being like, no, we're not going to hurt anyone because we're using their playbook, and if we don't hurt them, then they won't escalate. They won't escalate their response and so on. So like, I do kind of get that, but I also feel like it was a veiled attempt at giving it the Disney treatment and nobody bleeds, nobody dies. And
Yes.
I think it was just very poorly executed.
This should be, to use our quote from earlier, this should be more Die Hard than Home Alone.
Yes.
People should die, and there should be blood spilled, and
there should be consequences.
Yeah.
You only get a good story through trials and tribulations. If everything you do literally does not matter, why bother? You could fast forward from the middle of this movie to the end of this movie, see Patrick Stewart in a sewer bath, and be like, oh, okay, I know how this movie played.
Yeah. Why do you think I didn't bother watching it after I spent most of the middle of the film just completely checked out?
You have only yourself to blame.
I think I've saved myself some time and pain. Amy, did you rewatch it after you fall asleep?
Multiple times.
I mean, did you fall asleep multiple times, or did you rewatch it multiple times?
Every night before she falls asleep, she watched 20 minutes of the
There
movie.
was a big break between this movie. We did hold off a little bit on this podcast, so I had multiple times to watch it at different parts.
Gotcha.
Do you have any thoughts on the movie overall?
I mean, yeah, it was bad, but I liked it that it was bad.
You do like bad movies
like
more than I
bad
like bad
movies.
movies. Yeah.
I don't know what that says about the movie, honestly.
Oh, but by the way, after this movie ended, they autoplay the next movie, and on Tubi, the next movie was Hackers.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So I came downstairs and
That's
Hackers was
excellent.
just on again. Yeah.
You were like, why?
Yeah.
This will hate me.
That's fantastic. I love that.
That is not fantastic.
That's great. Gotta
That's
put those
perfect,
two on
yeah.
repeat.
I feel like it just goes to show that Nick has really bad taste in technological thriller movies.
Listen, the genre for techno thrillers was pretty light in the 90s. Until Matrix.
Yeah.
Now, did you like this movie when you were younger? Is that why you picked this?
I did like this movie when I was
Okay.
younger, but again, I did not pick this.
What?
I mentioned this.
It
And other people,
was on your damn list.
and I specifically said, no, we shouldn't do this one. And I stand by it. Get the transcript. Call back the transcriptionist.
Listen,
You're dead.
Nick, take responsibility for your actions.
Now, I can see as being younger liking this movie. There's points for a 90s kid looking at this, be like, there's, well,
Damn it, Amy, why do you have to be the voice of reason?
I'm just saying, if I saw this as a kid, I probably would have liked it too.
You liked it now. What are you talking about?
No, but I agree. I think if you look at the last film we did, Broken Arrow, Andrea, you and I both mentioned that it's one of those films that you see when you're younger, and then it doesn't matter how bad it was retrospectively. It's still kind of like a young movie for you that's kind of stuck there nostalgia-wise.
Right. But
I could see watching this movie. Oh, sure.
The difference between Broken Arrow and Big Trouble in Little China is that it still shows up on TV that...
Did it get a DVD release?
Yes, it did. It's the difference between Big Trouble and Broken Arrow in that they had lives after their theatrical run.
Patrick Stewart is a saint.
Yes, I know that. But Masterminds was relegated to freebie, you know, which is only available via the shitty apps on your TV that you don't care about. Like, at least you can find the others.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
But what I mean to say is, if you watch it at the right time, even if it's bad, it can be kind of
it's nostalgic. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it can get stuck in your brain a little bit.
I'm just being a pain in the ass.
So this movie came out when I was like 13.
Ugh.
And I was just getting started on the technology side of my life. I had my Packard Bell that I was learning QBasic. Like,
Did you have your Talk Boy?
I did have a Talk Boy.
Oh my God.
Me
and
too.
a Yak Back.
Ooh, wow. Throwback.
But yeah, so like I did fall into it for that. This was one of those movies that I feel like if I saw it at Blockbuster on the new release wall and I saw Patrick Stewart, I'd pick it up.
So was this before or after Hackers?
For me, this was after.
This was after Hackers?
By a considerable margin. It was actually after Hackers, but
in
my experience, it was like Hackers was first.
That's what I meant. Like, in your viewing of it, of these movies, was it before or after?
Yeah, this was after for sure. But yeah, I knew going into this that there was going to be a poor pick for a remake.
Can only polish a turd so much.
So maybe I'm jumping ahead to the recasting part.
I think, honestly, I don't have much to say about the film. I think we can move on to recasting if everyone's good. Does anyone want to complain about this film further?
No.
All right, yeah, let's move on to casting then. Nick, go ahead with what you were going to say.
So I think there's two roles that make any sense to cast in this, and it's Ozzy and Rafe. Patrick Stewart's character and the other guy, I don't remember his name.
Bentley.
No, Bentley is Patrick Stewart.
Rafe Bentley is Patrick Stewart, and then the kid Ozzy.
Vincent, his last name begins with a K. He's the guy from
Kartheiser.
Kartheiser.
Yeah, I think honestly,
married to, what's her face?
Oh, what's her face? Yeah.
I can't remember, so please continue.
I think honestly, this is really just a back and forth story between those two. This is, as a diehard comparison, this is the
John McClane and Hans Gruber. There you go.
So this is Patrick Stewart as Bentley and Vincent Kartheiser as Ozzy, literally being
cat and mouse. Back and forth.
John McClane is to Ozzy as Hans Gruber is to Bentley.
Yes.
Nailed it.
That's perfect. Thank you for the assist on there.
SATs quite well.
Sprinkle in a little bit of Home Alone, and you've got this movie. So I think honestly, really, those are the only two that should be recast.
What about K-Dog? You don't want to recast K-Dog?
K-Dog? Oh God, that kid.
That stupid, pointless friend.
No, he was barely even an exposition target.
I'm just yanking your chain.
He didn't need to exist. You can put anyone in for the principal so long as they're a hard ass. Like, they don't need to be anyone specific, and just about everyone is two-dimensional characters that ultimately don't really contribute much. And I'm going to use my wild card for Patrick Stewart because he was fantastic and phenomenal, and the only reason this movie should continue to exist. So the only one that I would replace is Ozzy, and I honestly don't know.
I think I have a good pick. I think I might know of a good pick.
Sorry for all that build up too.
Yeah, all that build up.
Just so we're clear to the listeners, Nick is one of the people with COVID, so I want to throw out all the excuses for you right now.
COVID brain is a real thing, okay?
COVID right now. Like, I'm literally still positive, and even I have a better pick than him.
That's so funny.
So.
All that build up and like, listen, guys, I don't know who it is. Can we?
I have problems with the kid too.
Yeah, so I put in the notes here. Let's discuss difficulty of casting young people who are not in Stranger Things. Because I knew some of you were going to pick the kids from Stranger Things, and I was going to make fun of you.
I did.
I actually did, but not because of like I was thinking about someone who was like scrappy and kind of authority resistant, I guess.
Did we pick the same person?
Did you pick Finn Wolfhard?
No, I picked Jack Grazer.
Who?
Jack Dylan Grazer.
Oh, okay.
He was the other kid.
He's in Stranger Things?
He's in It. I put those two movies together. Together.
So you didn't pick the Stranger Things?
No, but I mean, basically, they're the,
I mean,
Gotcha.
Finn Wolfhard was also in Ghostbusters Afterlife.
He was.
And, where he was like a sort of scrappy, headstrong kind of child there as well. I mean, he's not really a child anymore. He's like he's like 19 or 20. But I mean, I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't pick someone from Stranger Things because we literally all have. But when my brain latched onto it, I was like, no, that's actually, I am satisfied with that.
It's actually not a bad pick. I knew at least one of us would pick a Stranger Things kid. I'm actually surprised Nick didn't just pick a Stranger Things kid. So, okay, before we get into like, other people's picks for Ozzy, the problem with casting young people in films is we don't watch a lot of like teen-oriented dramas. So a lot of like the young up-and-coming actors and actresses, we just don't know about, right? And the reason we keep going back to like the Stranger Things kids is because we've all seen Stranger Things, so we know who they are. And same with my pick when we get to it. My pick is just a kid from a movie that I liked that I think I casted earlier in round 2 as well. But it's really hard to like go down a list of child star actors that are like the right age when I've never seen anything they've been in, because I don't care about like 13 Reasons Why or whatever other crappy teen drama happens to be on Netflix this week, right?
Dude, I watched the first season and a half of 13 Reasons Why, and I still can't tell you anybody that was in it.
You couldn't tell me one of the reasons?
No. I mean, I could not only could I not tell you one of the reasons, but I couldn't name any person in it.
Right. And so that's what kind of makes it tough, and also making them the right age, right? Like you can't pick like a 10-year-old to be a high schooler, and if someone's like 26 and they kind of look young, like where there's a limit on that, there's an upper limit on that, right? Like there's a bunch of like people I think as like young actors who are actually like close to 30.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'm like, oh, I remember all of the films you being like a high school student, but that was 8 to 9 years ago. An example is The Last of Us. The actress who plays Ellie is 19, and she's playing a 14-year-old. She actually does like a wrap for her chest to like make herself a little more flat chested so she can play someone who's younger. And so, for her, like she's playing very, very young people. Most people know her from Game of Thrones, where she played a literal child. In this film, she's a teenager, or in The Last of Us, she's a teenager, but in real life, she's almost 20. So like she can only do that for X more years, right?
That reminds me of like everyone in the Hunger Games, where it's like, oh, well, the actor or the actress playing Katniss, Jennifer Lawrence, was like 25 when she played those roles.
Yeah.
And it's like she could kind of pass for 16. Kinda.
Yeah.
And it's like Amanda Stenberg, who's now like up and coming right now. It's like at the time she was like what, 12, playing an 8-year-old or something like that. I don't remember. I don't have a clue.
Okay, so that's kind of a general discussion on like on this podcast. If we keep going back to Stranger Things, it's because we don't want to watch 13 Reasons Why, so we can pick a child actor for you,
or the litany of Disney movies, which are just chaff for the up and coming.
It's also harder with child actors because they don't have a typecast.
right?
They don't have a background. You don't have a lot to pull from. You're kind of just shooting in the dark of, oh, I like this specific role that this one actor or actress was in. I hope it's good enough to translate over to what I want to pick for.
Right. It's like, for example, in 2004, we could have said, "Oh, Daniel Radcliffe would have been great for that," but now he plays a psychopath in literally everything he's in, and I just kind of shot myself in the foot for my next pick, which kind of makes me a little sad.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
that would be a pick.
Anyway,
do it.
All right, so let's
say
finish.
The words.
Wait, let's finish up Ozzy first.
Yeah. Okay.
Amy, you had Jack Dylan Grazer. He
was one of the young child actors in that movie It. He was also in Shazam. He's kind of a little jackass. So I mean, in general, like his roles that he's played, he's the loudmouth kid, kind of scrappy looking. So I'm going on the same tone as Andrea with this. That's about it.
Okay. All right, that works. And for my pick, I again went for Julian Dennison, who is probably best known as the kid from Deadpool 2.
The Aussie kid again?
I just love that kid. I want him to be a superstar.
That's interesting.
We need to give him a link to this podcast.
Listen, because I make fun of you guys for picking Stranger Things kids, I can't pick them, and therefore my choices are so limited.
Guys, here's an idea. Let's pick films that don't have children that we need to recast in them.
Yeah, that's an idea.
No, but if you just take his character beat for beat from Deadpool 2, it's perfect for this film. he's just a troublemaker who hates his school, and goes back and tries to kill a bunch of people there.
Except there's no killing in this movie.
That's true.
Which is one of the things that we would fix if it were remade.
Yeah,
like give it
Nick
the
really
emotional
wants to see
heaviness.
dead kids on the screen.
That's not at all what I'm saying.
Boy, it sure sounded like you were advocating. I'm just kidding.
Oh my God.
All right, so let's Nick, you don't have a pick for Ozzy. Which of the three of us would you endorse?
So actually, I kind of do.
Okay.
For Ozzy, the kid?
Yeah, while you guys were talking, it kind of triggered something in my head. I'm like, oh, I have seen a thing with a kid in it. And that sounded worse than it was meant to.
Don't click on that link, Nick. Do not click on that link.
I've got COVID.
No, you don't.
I had COVID. My brain doesn't work. Connor Jessup, he played Tyler in Lock and Key. The older brother.
I love Lock and Key the comic, but we only watched the first season.
The show was good. We just never really.
It wasn't as good as the comic books.
Oh my God.
That's what I keep hearing.
My brain just regurgitated a pick that would be probably pretty good.
Nope, too late. You're already committed. What is it?
The kid who plays 5 from the Umbrella Academy.
He's like old now.
But he plays like a teenager in the Umbrella Academy, and it has another season coming out.
He does have a very young face.
Yeah. It's not about how old they are, it's about how old they can play.
Yeah.
That actually is not a bad pick either.
Man. So I guess we have seen things with people under the age of 25 and then.
Aiden Gallagher.
I'm trying to see how old he is.
He is currently 19.
There you go.
So yeah, he could pull that
off.
He's
only 19?
He's only 19.
Yeah. He's the most qualified out of anybody we've picked so far.
He looks the youngest and old at the same time.
I agree. Right? Everyone else's pick is invalid. It's Adrian Gallagher.
Yep.
Or Aiden Gallagher.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man.
Fine. You win.
I'm annoyed. That wasn't actually my pick.
You know what? Your pick for Patrick Stewart's replacement for Bentley is kind of amazing too.
Yes, it is.
Do it.
So my pick for Bentley is Daniel Radcliffe. Actually, I wrote down 2 because I figured Daniel Radcliffe would be fun and absolutely crazy. And if you've ever seen Daniel Radcliffe in like
Guns Akimbo.
No, not just that, but like the movies where he plays like the mastermind of something. I said the name of the movie.
You did the thing.
Like
you did the thing.
What was it? The Lost City, with the one with Tatum Channing and Sandra Bullock in it. And then, like you said, Now You See Me Too. And then there's one other one where he plays someone who's absolutely out of his damn mind.
Yeah.
But he's like really wealthy and has the money to back it up. But I wrote down in my notes, Daniel Radcliffe would be fun. Sean Bean is more realistic.
I really like Daniel Radcliffe for that role because I think he could bring it. Like
he could,
you know what I mean? Like he could overact in the same way that Patrick Stewart does, where it's still good, even though it's clearly overacting on purpose, right?
Yeah. I really do like that for a pick.
I like that pick. And Nick, you said you were keeping Patrick Stewart as a.
Yeah, I don't care that he's like 97 years old or whatever. Like, I think
he's still got to do the action scenes.
He's got it, man. He's got it. He's my boy. He could do it.
That's fair.
He was fantastic in this.
I was going to gender swap Bentley.
Oh.
Because this movie, like, there's no woman in the villains, and I feel like, you know, back in the 90s, like in those type of movies, most of the villains were men. So I put down a man in the notes. I'll tell you that in a second, but my pick for the woman or the female villain would be Laura Linney.
Oh.
Is that how you say her name?
Linney, yeah.
From Ozark and also many other things.
Okay.
I feel like she could be like, if you've seen Ozark, you've seen how she can pretend she can be both loving but in a terrifying way, and so she could put on that facade but also be someone with like an insane amount of internal anger and real viciousness. The other one I went for, that if I was going for casting a man, I was going kind of for the opposite. I went for Jim Carrey.
That's funny you picked that, because Laura Linney was in the Truman Show with Jim Carrey.
Yes, that's true. But Jim Carrey can play serious roles. Jim Carrey can play like a barely straight-faced guy, but still funny. And then he can have that freak out. I don't know whether it would work with the overall tone of the movie if we're trying to turn it into more of the Die Hard side of things.
I think it does work. Mix a little bit of the number 23 with
that's what
Sonic
I was thinking.
the Hedgehog.
Yes, I was thinking specifically the number 23, where he play, or because he's played very good serious roles. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Oh yeah,
he's incredible in that film. The Truman Show you've just mentioned. Yep. He's an incredible actor when he's not just playing a goofball, which again he's great at doing that as well.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking you start with number 23 and then you turn into Dr. Robotnik at the end.
yeah, he's straight.
That would be amazing.
Joke's on you. I was never that evil.
he's in the sewer chase scenes. Little robots start popping out of everything.
That's fair. Amy, what you got for us?
So my pick for Bentley, I was going, in my mind, if I would recast this movie, it would be more of a serious role, a little bit more intense. I might be pronouncing his name incorrectly, but it's Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh my God.
Did I say that wrong?
No,
I
you
think
didn't.
You said it.
You got it.
Yeah. That's another great pick.
I think
he plays a bad guy in everything.
But I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm typecasting, but he's a good actor.
What kind of bad guy? Like Breaking Bad guy? Mandalorian bad guy? Evolution bad guy?
What do you mean? What kind of bad guy? You just named the same kind of bad guy.
No, that's not true.
Well, he's a murderer in each one.
No, so Mandalorian, he's just straight up bad guy. He doesn't even pretend he's a good guy.
But he's also in a new TV show, The Boys, where he is a bad guy, but he's a lot more corporate. And in my mind, that was the bad,
So I see that as like
villain. I was thinking
Breaking Bad. Have you?
I have seen enough. Where he's like he's the hamburger joint by day, chicken joint by day, and drug dealer by night. So like he puts on the face. So like I could see him from like a Breaking Bad, or if you saw that started fantastic, ended horribly TV show Evolution. No. Revolution. Power stops working.
I think I've seen the trailer for that, and I did not watch it.
Oh yeah, I remember that show.
Yes, it started. Yeah. It started fantastic.
The premise was really good.
It really was. It showed,
it was Revolution, I think.
The world lost power. Yeah, Revolution. 2
seasons.
Yeah.
Just so you know, Andrea, he was in Trading Places. He was a cellmate. I just looked it up. Bam. Yes.
He's been in so much stuff. Yeah. There's a TV show that's just out called Kaleidoscope, which I haven't seen yet.
I wanted to.
But apparently you can watch the episodes in any order and it works as like a con, which I think is cool.
It does, and he's the main character in that. But he's a bad guy in the sense of he's a thief, he's a robber, he's done time, but good guy in the sense of like his soul and his morals. Gotcha.
Awesome. Well, apparently he's going to be in, I don't know if any of you have seen the film The Gentleman, which is a Guy Ritchie film, which is fantastic.
I have not.
You should watch it.
I may have. That sounds familiar now that I think about it.
It's got Matthew McConaughey in it and Charlie Hunnam. It's fantastic. Very underrated movie.
Oh, no, I haven't.
I've
heard of it, though.
Yeah, they're making a TV show spin-off of that, and he's going to be in that as well, so that'll be great.
Wait a minute. Is The Gentleman the one where Colin Farrell beats up a bunch of kids at like a little mom and pop restaurant place?
Correct.
Okay, I may have seen this.
Yes.
Colin
Farrell's my favorite part of the whole movie.
Okay. Like super thick accent, beating people up. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think I've seen this. Yeah. I'm having trouble recalling it, but it feels like it was a good time.
It was a great time
in my head.
Confirmed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see this.
And I have to rewatch that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen it.
But yeah.
The Gentleman is highly recommended. I'm a Guy Ritchie fanboy. Even the bad movies I enjoy. We just saw one recently in theaters that was not great, but I still was happy to go pay money to watch it. But yeah, go have a rewatch of The Gentleman. I think it gets better with on rewatches as well. So
okay, I will certainly do that. And your homework is to go watch Revolutions.
No, don't. The first episode is great. After that, it just tanks.
The first season is great.
I don't remember the first season being great. I remember the first episode being
I'm not going to spoil it, but
it was so long.
And then you find out why it's doing what it's doing. You're like, seriously? That's dumb. But yeah, go watch it.
All right. I will not. Amy, great pick.
Psych.
Got him. Amy, that was a great pick. We're good on casting. No one wants to cast the
principal?
The principal. I just think that could be pretty much anyone. She has really a pretty big role, but
who is the woman that plays Dolores Umbridge in Harry Potter? She'd be great. What's her name? Oh God,
she's too old. I think she's too old now. She just played. She played in the newest season of The Queen.
Oh really?
That was makeup. That was all lights and camera.
Maybe
Imelda Staunton. That's her name.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like I said, it could be any hard ass, male or female, doesn't matter. Just a hard ass principal that has a soft core of like soft jelly core when it comes to supporting kids. Like,
yeah, this person does not.
Like it could honestly be anyone.
In the films that I've seen her in.
It could be Laura Linney.
Yeah, it could.
Good.
Nailed it. All right. Let's move on to changes we'd like to see from the film. I was so flabbergasted by this film that I only put down one note for this. And the only note is to move it to an actual city so you could actually make sense for you to try and drill out of one building into another.
And I think that's a great change.
That's a great change.
But I would change so much more about this film. I just was too mad at the film for being bad to write it down.
I feel like that if you were to do anything to this film to change it, you'd basically make it Die Hard for kids.
Yes.
And like
that's what they should have done.
I think that the dialogue needs help because it's so cliche.
Can I issue a correction here?
Yes.
We want this to be R-rated, so we want this to be Die Hard with kids, not for kids.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't know that we go that far. I think it needs a strong PG-13. It was already PG-13, but like 90s PG-13. I think they could have gotten away with a little bit more in today's rating system. And I think they should have pushed the envelope for what they did. It shouldn't be a PG-13 rating because a kid said shit one too many times, you know?
I feel like that I feel like in order to make it really like effective, you should probably put it in like a college or something.
Yeah, I think you get a lot more flexibility if you put it in a college.
Like I'm thinking back, well, if you just, change the story a little bit, and make it like make the stakes a little bit higher, my brain immediately thought, well, then you get Kindergarten Cop. And I'm just like, damn it. You can't do like
all right, so if you took your school, which was basically Hogwarts, and locked the kids up in there, which you could do, it's built like a castle, like especially like freshmen are there 2 weeks early or whatever,
yes,
to get moved in. So you do it in that 2 week period where it's all freshmen, all 18-year-old kids, they're all sassy AF, but you got a bunch of guys with guns, and if you kill one or two 18-year-old kids, it's a tragedy, but it's not the same as a school of 5-year-olds.
I mean, it would work because if you put it in a place like my school had underground corridors in the basements because it was an old
giant crazy roofs with big
like
copper gutters that you can pretend to almost fall off of. And
what do you mean pretend?
No, that's what happened in the movie. He slid down the slate roof and somehow the
he was
gutter
on the
held...
roof way too much.
Yeah,
did you notice that?
They had to make use of that helicopter they rented.
Yeah,
my public school college had a dark hallway leading to racquetball courts with blood all over them. Does that count?
Oh my god, it does.
Yes, and why did they not clean that?
They were building new ones at the time.
Oh.
I still kept using the old ones. Some of the blood is mine, so it's fine.
Jeez.
I mean, in my school, I don't know, I regularly frequented all the creepy places. Like there was this grotto behind the school that was just really creepy. Our chapel was haunted. I regularly had access to the bell tower,
which was terrifying.
Terrifying and kind of cool at the same time.
It's one of those places that's so high up that just being in the room, you get vertigo.
Could you put a sniper up there for our film?
You absolutely could. Absolutely
We
could.
need to. There has to be a sniper and a bazooka.
And a bazooka.
Blowing up a car for no reason.
Long winding drive all the way up to the campus that you could easily launch bazookas down. I'm thinking if we took this and we brought it to freshman year of college, it opens the door for so much more potential.
Yeah, especially if you put that setting in some place like where I went to school. I think it would be fun.
Yes, let's do it.
Despite the negative attitude I'm hearing towards killing children in films, fine, we can put it in college.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of offing kids even in a movie, dude.
Yeah, no.
Does that work in 2023? Darn.
No, it does not work in 2023.
You might even say it doesn't work even more in 2023.
You could say it has never worked. You could say that it working is not a phrase that
the real true.
Fair. So, would anyone change anything specifically about the plot of this film, like the order of things happening, and also Patrick Stewart's or the villain's plans at all?
I would make it far more pronounced when they do the reveal that this was all just a ploy to get the dad to not do this crazy $1 billion business deal.
I didn't even
because it was so
that's why.
Right, like it was so underwhelming, the reveal on that. Because
Yeah, well,
what really took center stage was the Home Alone aspect of it.
Yeah. I liked it though because
in the basement.
Yeah.
Why were they doing that?
Escape.
Yeah.
But, like, why would you go through all that effort?
Because you're telling them you're using the helicopter, but you're going through the sewer tunnels instead.
Andrew, it's hard for peasants like us to understand. They're masterminds. It's the name of the movie.
Oh, there it is again.
He did the thing. He did the thing. He said the name.
No, I was annoyed that we were wasting so much time with the dads and this business transaction. I was like, I don't care. I want to see this kid like Home Alone people to death. And then when the twist came, that actually that was the main motivation. I thought that was actually really cool. But yeah, the whole like you're gonna dig into tunnels and like the fact that you have to actually dig is dumb. Whereas like if you're in a city, you can just like knock down some walls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you're gonna be digging into something, like at least if you're gonna like walk down the Die Hard path, at least commit and do it and say, I'm trying to break into a safe for like the deed to the school because it's sitting on top of an Indian burial ground, which is also sitting on top of a ancient treasure. There, I made it more interesting than the actual film. Combine some flavors of national treasure in there.
Listen, colleges are just corporations designed to steal your money. So like putting a giant vault full of bearer bonds in there is not too far off the beaten path.
I mean, the money's not actually sitting on campus, but I get what you're saying.
You don't know that for sure. Yeah.
The bursar's office. You don't know.
I've just thought of a change that I would really love to see since we're moving into college and we can murder people. I want
that's not the primary motivation of moving it to college, right?
Sure. Whatever you say. Yeah. 100% agree. You're
Be a freshman, you're just older kids.
Yeah. Listen, they're 18 now. They can murder people in America. It's legal, okay? So no, the one thing I'd love to do is to set this up like a Home Alone, a la Die Hard, but actually accidentally make it Die Hard. So I'll give you an example. In the film, there's a very stupid scene where he tells someone to walk a step closer and then dumps some coal on him, as though like that would like solve the problem. Like he would stand up and kill you with his gun. But what I would love to do is like he pulls that trick like it's a Home Alone trick, like you're throwing paint cans down at people, but the injury is real. Like the coals turn out to be burning hot, and it like sets them on fire and burns them to death. And like every kill is just like he's accidentally trying to like trip people, but when they fall, they like break their neck. You know what I mean? So like in Home Alone, like he would put like like some grease on the floor and they'd slip. But when they slip, they, hit their head and like bleed out, like something like just ridiculous deaths for all of the villains,
So, like,
done
kind
by
of satire?
done by a kid who's just trying to stop people and not murder them. But the kid ends up murdering people all the time.
He's trying to be less than lethal, and
He literally is trying to do a Home Alone, and he keeps murdering people. I think that would be fantastic.
Like, is the after credit seeing this kid in therapy?
Yeah.
I think it would have to be.
No, have you guys seen what is it? John and Tucker Are Evil?
No.
Let me get the name of the movie. Tucker and Dale Are Evil. So this is a fantastic film, Nick. It's a horror film, so you won't watch it, and I'll just spoil it for you. Tucker and Dale are two backwoods rednecks, and they're super nice guys. So Alan Tudyk plays one of them.
Oh my God.
Okay.
And then the plot of the movie is these college kids, like straight out of a generic horror film, like pretty girl, nerdy guy, jock, they all show up at these two's backwoods location, and they think they're serial killers, and all of the kids start dying, but accidentally. And so, but these two nice guys are trying to help them, and every time they die, so these like these kids think they're being serial killed by Alan or by Tucker and Dale, but they're just trying to help the kids not die in this dangerous backwoods. So like one of them will slip into like a wood grinder while Tucker's around, and then the blood will get on him. He's like, "Oh God, I'm so sorry," and then but everyone will think he put her in the wood chipper. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm not selling it. It really is a great film.
It's funny.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil. It's fantastic. And so yeah, that's the plot of the movie. And I kind of want this film to be like that, where like this kid is like a ne'er-do-well. He's trying to do the right thing, but also trying to stop the villains, but he just absolutely accidentally murders every single one of them.
Well, the biggest problem is it's a 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb. So like clearly we're aiming too high here.
I mean, that's IMDb. Look for Rotten Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes, 85%. Oh yeah.
Are you? What's going on? He's grossed out from blood.
I saw bits of the trailer. There was a wood chipper and an axe and a pointy stick and someone tripping and
yeah. Anything you think about that might be made fun of in a horror movie, the way a horror movie would go, and the stupid deaths in a traditional, like a bunch of college kids go to a location that's far away from everything and get murdered. It's exactly that, except no one's actually being murdered.
Okay.
It's fantastic. It
might
really
have
is.
to get my anti-blood pillow type blocking TV device, and
I'm sure it's not that bad.
it's probably that bad.
It's very cartoony.
Yeah.
The blood is very cartoony. I think you can make it through.
I don't know about that.
I don't agree. I don't think you will.
I don't know about that.
All right, so I've said what I think I want this movie to be. What does everyone else think? I mean, how do you envision the film overall?
I kind of ranted about that at the beginning of the podcast, and I think as a group we've kind of developed that a bit, bringing it to the college level, doing Home Alone meets Die Hard accidentally, like you were saying. I think that really evolves this into more of a comedy, something that doesn't quite take itself seriously, but also allows us to play with the A and B plots of, a crazy Wall Street business deal that's actually heist movie style twist at the end that maybe makes sense if it's executed properly. And I think you take all of those bits and pieces, throw them into a boggle and shake it up, and I think you end up with a decent movie that gets more than an 18% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Writer, for God's sake.
You could even, I mentioned moving the school to like city. If it was like New York, you could have it like next to a banking institution that's owned by like the dad's business or something, and be drilling into like their vaults or something like that, right?
Yeah, and you use the guise of holding up the school as literally the exact same thing as Die Hard, where you're holding all these people hostages, but it's really just a bank heist. Like you're doing the same thing. You're holding the school hostage, but you're breaking down the wall into the bank.
Yeah, I do love me a heist movie.
The only thing I don't get in this movie, I know it's a teenager who is a hacker and he downloads stuff illegally and he has all these,
Scream 4
skills. But I don't look at the movie like that. Would you make it more of a computer hacker type of movie or a
he hacks one computer, right, the whole time?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I feel like they portrayed it a little different. They made a big point to say he knows how to hack systems, but
well, they failed miserably in doing that, though. Like in Hackers, they did a lot of hacker culture to give you the idea that the people in the movie were hackers without, spending all the time looking at code on a screen, although they did like some graphical versions of that in Hackers. What they did in this movie was put a kid in front of a computer who pushed forward on a joystick for a minute, and called him a hacker. It wasn't there.
Well, he did know how to use the systems. I mean, not every kid can do that in a school or,
Nick, a real hacker listens to Stabbing Westward, okay? So
I think if it were more like MacGyver or the life hacks as the kids call them these days, And I think if, they exploited that more, not just computer hacker, but like all around knowledgeable person that can exploit situations in the environment, I think that would be more interesting.
Yeah. And remember, if we're updating the movie to current times, it's a lot easier to like pull out your phone and hack. So like, it's not like you could have carried around a computer with him in the ducks, right? And like hack people. But now you can like take out your phone and like maybe have a GPS tracker on it and throw it down a vent so they go looking for the wrong thing or something like that, right?
Yeah.
You could do shenanigans like that.
Right. And play with the idea of, let's electrify this fence to put enough electromagnetic interference in the air so that cell phones stop working, and like play with stuff like that is still a little bit of, you got to suspend a little bit of disbelief to kind of accept that it's happening, but it's still fun enough and plays with the story enough to keep it interesting. Instead of just what I felt like this movie did was it had 2 plot points and an idea of how it wanted to get from one to the other, and just made up funny shit in the middle without really considering what it was going to do to the story.
That's fair. All right. So let's move on then to final verdict time. Andrea, why don't you take us home? Why don't you lead us off? Would you remake this film?
Yes. Yes, I think I would. It's terrible. Fun fact. I was looking more up about this movie. Do you know what the director of this film did right after Masterminds?
No.
Battlefield Earth.
Another gem.
Wow.
Classic.
All right, Amy, would you remake this film?
On the concept that you portrayed, yes, I think that was good. Before that, I didn't care or wanted to.
That's
fair.
That's fair. I was a yes to remake this before I kind of was thinking about turning it into a Dale and Tucker versus Evil concept. But now that I've kind of come up with that mid podcast, I would love to see a version of that film where, like I said, everyone's just dropping dead from accidents, quote unquote accidents, all the time. Everyone's getting manslaughtered up in here. All right, that would be fun and interesting. Nick.
So before that idea, which I love, by the way, before that idea, yeah, I would absolutely remake this. But let's be honest, the bar is really low with this movie. So it would not be hard to remake this in a way that's better just by the things that we've talked about today.
The 4 of us could remake it ourselves with a cell phone camera, and it would still be better.
You got contacts back at your old school? Can you get us into the
ask him whether we can bring sniper rifles up to the bell tower. The thing is, though, like, you could remake this film so easily without actually remaking it. You could remake it in spirit, and you don't even have to pay the rights to use. You don't have to make this a remake of Masterminds. You could just have a film set in a college in a city with the same general plot, right? Because you change so many things.
Yeah.
But it's like there's a Bruce Willis film called 12 Blocks, and it is it's literally a almost shot for shot remake of the Clint Eastwood film Gauntlet. Like, Hollywood does not care. They could just change the names on it, change the actor, and be like, we're putting this movie out again. That's fine. But they didn't pretend it was a remake of Gauntlet. They just made another movie with the exact plot of Gauntlet and renamed it 12 Blocks and released it. So we can do it too.
All right, let's do it. I got a cell phone with a decent camera.
All right. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Original Remake podcast. I apologize that we were all various states of sick and tired. If you'd like to provide any feedback or have a question, please email us at remake.cast@gmail.com, and we will be back with another episode in 2 weeks.